Now, as we move from addition to subtraction, students need to make sense of the connection between addition and subtraction. So, for example, if we have some number families that they might know, like 2 plus 3 equals 5, they need to be able to understand that in that situation, there are lots of different ways that we can view and rewrite potentially 2 plus 3 equals 5. So if we go back to the strip diagram, 2 plus 3 equals 5, or maybe some of you have seen the number bonds, and I use it as a fact family triangle, we can say from this, making sense of the strip diagram, that 2 plus 3 is 5, but we also know that 3 plus 2 is 5. Or when subtraction starts happening, well, in subtraction, we can take 5 and take away 3 equals 2. But what happens when we take 5 and take away 2? Well, that equals 3. So we often look at the numbers 2, 3, and 5 as a fact family for addition and subtraction. The fact family can be represented using the strip diagram, or the fact family triangle, or sometimes you will see it as number bonds like this, 2, 3. All right. And it can actually be written in 4 different number sentences: 2 addition and 2 subtraction. This is exactly the same information represented in 4 different kinds of ways, and within the number sentences represented in 4 different equivalent number sentences. Those number sentences are equivalent because they say the same thing about the same 3 numbers in a fact family. So for example, if I said, let's write a fact family for this, we can represent that 4, 6, and 10 are fact family. We can represent it using the strip diagram, 4, 6, and 10. We can represent it using the fact family triangle, and we can represent it using number bonds. All right. So that's the way that most of the students will see, most of the kids will see their fact families. And now we can write that in 4 different ways with addition and subtraction. We were already given one of the addition ways. We know that 6 plus 4 is still 10. Right? So that's another way to write the fact family. And we also know that 10 minus 6 is 4, and 10 minus 4 is 6. So in any fact family for addition and subtraction, you'll be able to represent it in one of those ways. So let's look at a generalized form of fact family. So if we have addend 1, addend 2, and sum, those are going to be our words for the 3 numbers in a fact family. So for example, in 4, 6, and 10, this was our addend 1, addend 2, and sum. And if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to say addend 1, addend 2, and sum, just to make it a little bit shorter. So if we were to draw a fact strip diagram, then we can say addend 1, addend 2, and sum. If we were to do a fact family triangle, the sum would be on top, addend 1, addend 2. And if we were to do a number bond, addend 2. And depending on which situation, which curriculum you're using, you will see 1 or 2 of these representations. So this is strip diagram. This is fact family triangle. And this is a number bond. All right, so then let's look at the number sentences. So one of the number sentences will be addend 1 plus addend 2 equals sum. And of course, addend 2 plus addend 1 equals sum. For subtraction, well, we can take the sum and we can take away the addend 1 to get addend 2. Or we can take the sum and take away the addend 2 to get addend 1. Now, let's just trace where the sum is. This is our sum. Our sum is here in the strip diagram. It's at the top in the fact family triangle and the number bond. When we're writing the addition, it's the result. When we're writing the subtraction, it's the start. Because the sum is what we're starting with, and we are taking away one of the addends to find the other. So what happens if we don't know one of the addends? So if we don't know one of the addends, let's see what happens. So if we have a strip diagram, we don't know one of the addends. If we have a fact family triangle, we don't know one of the addends. And if we have a number bond, we don't know one of the addends. So what happens with the number sentences? We don't know one of the addends. And we don't know one of the addends. So this addend that we don't know is this unknown, this, and this. So I've highlighted all of where the addend, the missing addend appears. And if you look at this particular statement, that's a subtraction statement. That's a subtraction statement that we can view as missing addend. So for example, if it says 5 minus 3 equals what? You could say, well, 5 and 3 equals what? So 5, it could be the same. You can answer that question by saying what plus 3 equals 5? Using this equation, because all of these are exactly equivalent, and students are actually much more likely to answer what plus 3 equals 5 than try to figure out the subtraction. So it's much easier for them to think back to addition early on than it is to figure out the subtraction. All right, but here you can see the very, very tight connection between addition and subtraction, and how we can use that to help us make sense of both of them together and to build a much stronger understanding of of how to work with numbers and how to calculate with numbers with addition and subtraction.